on the world stage to advance peace and progress, and I look forward to discussing all the important topics with my colleague today. By the way, today we have 978 days of our resilience and resistance. Nobody believed in Ukraine at the beginning of the full-scale aggression, and in November, we will mark 1,000 days of our resistance and resilience. And here we are thankful to all our partners, to our allies, for the support of our territorial integrity and sovereignty. This war is not the war about only Ukraine. By conducting this aggression, Russia caused several global crises: food security crisis, energy crisis, security crisis. So we need collective efforts to stop this aggression. And all like-minded countries which support territorial integrity and sovereignty, principles of UN Charter, international law, we need them, these like-minded countries, to achieve our strategic goal, just, comprehensive peace for Ukraine. That's the strategic goal, and Ukraine probably is the country which is mostly interested to achieve. But once again, I would like to emphasize comprehensive, just, long-lasting peace. We don't want to have a stage absence of war or postponed war, but we need collective efforts to achieve just peace for Ukraine. We count on your support. Your voice is very important, globally important, voice of South Africa. So definitely we will exchange views on this topic. Ukraine working hard how to make closer the conducting of the second peace global summit. I informed during our meeting minister about our approach, about our vision, and we do really need collective efforts, support of our partners on this way to achieve just peace, to restore world order based on international law. So that's the point. And also we need your support on the implementation of our peace formula. No alternatives to the peace formula, war on our territory, and we do really know how to achieve just peace on our territory. And of course we value the historical visit of President Ramaphosa at the beginning of this aggression. It was historical visit. African leaders visited Ukraine with the ideas how to support territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, how to achieve peace, and we do really appreciate. We are looking forward for your presidency in G20, very important presidency, globally very important presidency, and also we do really count that Ukraine will be also in the focus of your presidency. We have a lot of bilateral pending issues. Here also I am here to give a signal. We are ready to boost our bilateral relations, mutually beneficial. Yesterday I spoke with representatives of business community from your great country. We have really huge potential, and we are ready to cooperate to boost our bilateral relations. Thanks a lot, dear Minister, for this opportunity to exchange views, and also I invited Minister to visit Ukraine.
Thank you very much. We will continue to call for the peace formula to include Russia, because we continue to believe that the engagement without them on the table, particularly as we take this matter forward, will enable us to find a breakthrough. As a country that is non-aligned, we want to see engagements by both parties that are involved in the conflict, and we are hopeful that during the exchange of ideas, we will further deepen this discussion that will lead towards ensuring that all the parties to the conflict, in particular Russia, are invited to the platform of the peace formula, and other initiatives that are important, like the Africa Initiative, and other initiatives that my colleague is aware of that we believe are very important for this to take this matter forward. Thank you very much.
And with your permission, one more remark. I confirmed to Minister directly that Ukraine is ready to invite representatives of Russia to the second Peace Global Summit.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Notably A round, colleagues, not rounds, A round. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Dear Minister, once again, it is a great pleasure and honor to be here today. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to be in Pretoria today. My first visit to your beautiful country. Minister Lamola, thank you once again for your great hospitality and focused discussions. Today is the 978th day of Ukraine's resistance to Russia's full-scale aggression. Russia continues its attacks and terror against civilians, infrastructure, ports, and energy system. Ukraine stands strong and resists, but we need the support and more support and more solidarity of all like-minded nations that respect international law. The reason for my visit now is very clear. Ukraine values its partnership with South Africa. We have a lot to achieve together, from advancing peace to strengthening our mutually beneficial cooperation in many areas. We have major international events ahead of us, and it was very important to coordinate position with my colleague, Minister Lamola. South Africa's voice makes a real difference in Africa and globally. We need your solidarity and support on matters crucial for all of us. Already in December, South Africa will begin its G20 presidency. We wish you every success in this important role. We place high expectations on your strong leadership in addressing regional and global challenges, including Russian aggression against Ukraine. Russia's brutal full-scale attack ruined world order based on international law, brought suffering and atrocities to Ukraine, and caused a number of global crises in food, energy, security, and other areas. This war is not only about Ukraine, it directly affects millions of people in Africa and other parts of the world. This is why we have a common goal, a comprehensive, just, and long-lasting peace for Ukraine. We hope that South Africa's G20 presidency will keep Ukraine in focus and help us bring peace, just peace, closer. I informed Minister Lamola about the peace formula process and our logic of further steps. I thank South Africa for supporting the formula. We are currently finalizing thematic conferences on its 10 items, and we are working towards the second Global Peace Summit, where we are ready to invite representatives of Russia. We invite all peace-loving nations that respect the UN Charter to join efforts, elaborate a joint peace framework, and be present together with us at the second Peace Summit. We need the Republic of South Africa to be there and add its strong voice. I underscored that the peace formula is the only realistic path forward. We see other ideas as well. What we don't need is competition. We will only achieve peace through strength and unity, not weakness or division. I invited South Africa to join the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. This is one of the most terrible crimes of this war. Russia has stolen at least 20,000 Ukrainian children in the occupied territories. They deported them to Russia, often changing their names and giving them to Russia families, trying to erase their national identity. We must bring our kids back to their families and back to their homeland. We must hold perpetrators of this crime to account. We also pay significant attention to global food security. Even in times of a full-scale Russian invasion, Ukraine continues to play its role of a global food security guarantor. We were able to push Russians away from most of the Black Sea, establish our own maritime corridor, and bring our exports back to pre-war level. But Russia now intensifies its attack against our ports and agriculture. They want to undermine our economy and global food security. We need more solidarity, more support from like-minded nations to restore and protect freedom of navigation in the Black Sea. We count on South Africa taking a clear stance here. Another dangerous development is Russia preparing attacks on elements of our nuclear energy system. They want to leave our people without power ahead of winter. This is a real risk of a nuclear incident. We have specific intelligence data that we shared with our partners, and we need South Africa to help us prevent this scenario and make it clear to Russia that such tries are not acceptable. We also confirmed our mutual determination to advance trade and expand business ties. Ukrainian businesses are eager to cooperate with the South African counterparts in agriculture, food industry, mining, engineering, IT, digitalization, and other areas. We will also welcome South Africa's business role in Ukraine's recovery. I also propose the South African side to look into the possibility of visa liberalization for Ukrainian citizens. This would be a good step to facilitate people-to-people contacts, business ties, cultural exchange, and tourism. By the way, citizens of South Africa can visit Ukraine without visas already. We need reciprocity. I was pleased to have these productive and constructive talks today. We critically need each other, and I have a clear vision for our next steps and endeavors. I invited Minister Lamola to visit Ukraine at his convenience, and I believe that our exchange will be regular in the future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Minister, over to you.
Thank you very much, my colleague, Your Excellency, Mr. Sybiha. I am glad that we're able to face the realities of our bilateral relations. It is imperative that we manage to identify areas of mutual benefit for both our countries to take our bilateral relations to another level. The signing of the long-awaited agreement on visa waiver for diplomatic service and official passports will follow the diplomatic processes. Once those processes have been concluded, the agreement will then be concluded, which will enable our diplomats and services and official passports to be able to travel between the two countries seamlessly. We have also noted your request for reciprocity with regards to ordinary citizens. As we are aware, we service our citizens and the citizens of Ukraine through WOSU in Poland, which complicates our work. We will process this matter through our own internal mechanisms, and we'll be able to give you a feedback through the diplomatic channels in regards to this request. We deliberated on constraints to fragile international security, including but not limited to the current wars. And it gives me great pleasure and honor to learn that Ukraine wants peace as soon as possible. Mostly importantly, that you are willing and ready to engage with Russia in the next process of the peace formula, as suggested by South Africa, because we believe that in this conflict it's important that all the warring factions are on the table and they can be able to engage. They cannot only meet on the battlefield, because any peaceful resolution will come through diplomatic engagements and peaceful negotiations of the conflict that is currently ongoing. This is important that it happens so that we can find long-lasting peace in this ongoing conflict that has affected global supply chain, that has affected the supply of grain, food across the globe, and ourselves also being affected through the prices and other factors that impact on the supply of food across the globe. So it is in the interest of us and the people of the world that we see a peaceful resolution to this conflict. And we look forward to that engagement through the peace formula that will involve all the parties. We are also looking forward to continue our engagements with yourselves with regards to the Africa initiative that you are aware was led by our President Ramaphosa and other African leaders, with an aim also to persuade the parties to a negotiation platform and a table. And as I've said during our deliberations, we are also part of the China and Brazil initiative, which is also aimed to bring the parties to an engagement that we are hopeful will one day be realized. We also engaged on a number of conflicts that are raging in the African continent, in particular the Sahel, Sudan, which is South Africa. We are very concerned about the current humanitarian crisis, the maiming of innocent children and women, in particular in Sudan, which has been declared by the Red Cross, the largest humanitarian organization, SARA, as one of the biggest humanitarian disasters the world has ever seen. We also continue to call for peace in Sudan and for cessation of hostilities in that conflict. We have also deliberated on other aspects in the Sahel, including the conflict in the Eastern DRC, our continued support for peace initiative, also in Mozambique, including the outcomes of the elections of Mozambique that were largely peaceful in the process, but violence did break out after the elections, and we are looking forward to the final outcome as the process is demanded by the Mozambican constitution. We also looking forward to allowing diplomatic processes that will enable the strengthening of bilateral trade between the two countries that will impact various areas of trade, digital transformation, agriculture, and many other fields of trade, including processes that will also continue to help with the skills gap that exists in our countries, which we can be able to exchange. This will be done through the diplomatic processes that allows for them to be processed. We will also process the invite that we have received from yourself, my colleague, to come to Ukraine, and we will be able to give the feedback in terms of what is possible, and after we followed all the diplomatic processes. We also continue to participate in the various platforms, as I've said, which underscores our non-alignment as a country to participate in the China Peace Initiative, the Africa Initiative, and many other initiatives that are aimed to find a solution in this ongoing conflict that we believe are very important. But we also continue to participate in many other initiatives, not only in this regard, including in the African continent and in many platforms that signals and shows our non-alignment stance as a country that is aimed to ensure that disputes are resolved through peaceful means and through negotiations across the globe, and that where conflicts do flare up, all the warring factions in the conflict should be encouraged to come to a negotiation table. And we have also encouraged this with regards to Sudan. that the parties must not only meet in the battlefield. There must be a channel of communication that is open, that enables them to engage on a number of issues, including to find a ceasefire in that conflict. This is very important for the people of the globe, in line with the UN Charter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. Colleagues, I'll now invite you for questions. I would encourage Your Excellencies to take out your pen, test if they work, and then just jot down the questions, and then we will then take them. Sophie, my colleague, News 24, I see SABC, and Business Day. In that order, colleagues, shoot your questions. The ministers will write them down. Please be clear who your question is directed at. If both, please say so. If just one, please say so. Thank you.
My question is directed at both ministers. My name is Sophie Mkwena from the SABC. The issue of Ukraine, currently the focus is on the Middle East. Are you aggrieved as Ukraine that there's more focus on the Middle East? But secondly, what is the position of Ukraine in relation to the situation in the Middle East, you also being involved in a conflict? And the other question is on inviting Russia. What took so long for Ukraine to finally agree that, or understand and accept that when you want peace, both warring factions must be on the peace table? And Minister, in terms of clarifying the issue of the agreement on visas, which is bordering on the foreign policy of the country, what is the agreement? What does the agreement entail?
Thank you very much. Dawood Hassan, Al Arabi TV. I have a question, one for Mr. Lamola and one for Mr. Andrii. For Mr. Lamola, South Africa will submit its documents to the ICJ today. We would like to know what is the news in these documents which will be submitted. Mr. Andrii, there is some reports speak about there is a troops for Ukrainian working in Syria, in Sudan, in Libya, against the Russian existence in these areas. Are going to move the conflict from Ukraine to outside its borders? Thank you.
News 24.
Minister, it's Amanda Koza from News 24. This is directed to our South African Minister. Minister, our non-aligned stance has forced the President to send envoys across the globe to explain our stance. Are you finding that South Africa is being heard on this position, or are we still needing to send envoys across the world to explain South Africa's non-stance position? And then I just want to make sure that I heard the Minister correctly. You said the agreement on the visas is still going to be signed. I heard you correctly. Thank you.
I have two questions. First question is to the Minister from Ukraine, and then follows on my colleague's question. There have been reports, I'm Ricardo from Defense Web. There have been reports of Ukrainian operatives conducting operations in Sudan and in Mali. So I just want to give you an opportunity to comment on that. And then to the South African Minister, it's just a rudimentary question. I just want to get some clarification on why the Chief of the Defence Force accompanied the delegation to the BRICS site.
SABC ×2.
Hi, good afternoon. Kylie Shakumala here from SABC. Just for you, Minister from Ukraine, I just want to know how far is the process for Ukraine to join NATO? And one of your key backers, the US, is going to the elections. Are you really concerned in terms of, what's going to happen in terms of the support? And just for you, Minister Lamola, just for South Africa, in terms of the African Peace Initiative, how far is the process, just in terms of the way forward? Thank you so much.
My name Lamola, at the previous Ukraine summit, South Africa did not sign the declaration, partly because of that Israel is a signatory, and the declaration at the next peace summit. Can you expect South Africa to support its signature again if those conditions are still present?
If you've missed your round, colleagues, for hands, it's tough luck. We will not be taking another round. Ministers, thank you very much. You may proceed to answer the questions.
Mr. Sybiha, you can start.
So let's start with the first question, Middle East. Ukraine remains unconditionally committed to international law, first of all. We strongly condemn any terrorist methods and violence, second point, and we are convinced that the use of force against civilians and critical infrastructure facilities is unacceptable. We reaffirm that the Middle East peace process should remain at the very core of any efforts aimed at restoring regional stability and security. We call for the implementation of the principle of a two-state solution with Israel and Palestine coexisting in peace. You also asked me about peace formula, about the invitation of Russian side. Here I would like to share with you with my memories. From the first minutes of this full-scale aggression, I was with the President Zelensky in bunker, in a safe place. And I remember very well first proposals from Russia side with regard of how to achieve peace. It was not the proposal how to achieve peace. It was ultimatum. It was a proposal of capitulation. So, of course, we didn't accept these proposals and this logic or this approach. And from my point of view, they didn't change the language of their proposals. They still insist on ultimatum. They don't want to recognize our territorial integrity and sovereignty. They even don't want to recognize as an independent state. And they still speaking about capitulation. That is not acceptable. That's why we need to have like-minded countries behind us. That's why we need support, collective efforts of like-minded countries which respect international law, which respect UN Charter, international law principles, to approach with this framework. I would like to remind that 95 countries already joined this joint communique after the first Peace Global Summit. And we are speaking about the framework. And here also I would like to clarify that the first Peace Global Summit, it was not a platform for negotiations. It was the meeting, the summit of like-minded countries, which proved the support of territorial integrity and sovereignty. That was the logic. And now, after we conducted all the events dedicated to each peace formula, when we have the position of like-minded countries, we are ready to invite Russian representatives to the second Peace Global Summit.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. From ourselves, we continues to advocate that all the parties in the warring factions or in the conflict should be on the table. Hence, it was our submission in the last peace formula that Russia should be invited for the engagement, because we believe that it will be difficult to find any peace, or it will be impossible without also their participation in the platform. And we are glad that there is a movement from my colleague. And this was also a point that was emphasized by our president when he met President Zelensky on the margins of the UN General Assembly. We believe that all the points of contentions can be engaged in that platform, and for all the parties to engage on the various issues of concern to both countries. And this informs our approach in a number of conflicts across the globe. With regards to the submission today, the filing of our memorial, indeed, we will be filing the memorial on behalf of the government of the Republic of South Africa. And once we have filed, an announcement will be made, what we have filed and the contents of what we have filed. Obviously, we can't reveal in forensic details because the court has got its own rules. The memorial is confidential. It's up to the court if the court wants to open it up and so forth. But we can say that we believe we've got comprehensive forensic evidence that will be able to convince the court that indeed genocide was committed in Gaza. With regards to our non-alignment stance, whether we believe we are being heard or not, yes, we believe we are being heard, but the fact that we send people across the globe to various capitals is part of normal diplomatic processes. In diplomacy, you explain everything. You continue to engage all parties, and that's why countries go around the world, we visit each other. Even this engagement was part of us deepening our understanding of each other's positions, to continue to understand where each other comes from. So us sending our envoys does not represent the fact that we feel that we are not being heard. It represents the fact that it's part of diplomacy to engage, to be in important international platforms, to be engaged in bilateral engagements, to deepen each other's understanding of each other's position. And we continue to state and emphasize our position of non-alignment in all these platforms that we participate in, and continue to engage all parties to find long-lasting peace for the globe, because this is the only way that can guarantee humanity. I was the chief of the Defense Force in the BRICS Summit. We had a delegation of all ministers with those that were relevant for the BRICS Summit, which deals with a number of developmental issues. And when the principal is there, it also goes that the people responsible at the operations level will be there. Even from our side, the DGs, the officials were there. If they are not there, whoever represents them must be there. And that's why the Minister of Defense was there. The Minister Nchabeni, also with the DG, Minister Tau. If the DG is not there, there will be someone who represents them. It's how government business is conducted. And we see it in that way. We participated in that platform for continuing to enhance and strengthen our BRICS platform as an important platform for the Global South, for the developing world, for us to advocate the developmental needs of our country, which we must continue to advocate for, and also to continue to strengthen what we have now made as a priority in the government of national unity, the fight against the triple challenge, unemployment, economic growth, and to defeat poverty. We see this as a very important platform to help us. And as you are aware, just before the BRICS Summit, the BRICS Development Bank has given Transnet a loan. They've also given Water Affairs a loan to help us with the logistic situation, and also the water challenges that we are facing as a country. We The Africa Peace Initiative remains part of the process that we believe will also contribute into the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Hence, when all the leaders meet, they continue to look at the points and to advocate for such points to be part of any peace initiative that is undertaken by any one in the world with regards to this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. If the consolidating of the president, oh no, I think this is not mine. I have already answered. I have already answered your question with regards to whether the agreement was signed or not, and I can't remember whether it's Sophie or who asked what exactly is the agreement about. The agreement on the waiver of visa for diplomatic and official passport holders is for easy processing of those who hold the diplomatic passport in terms of no need for visas and other logistics, and to make it easy for them to travel in between the two countries. So indeed, the agreement has not yet been signed. Once all the diplomatic processes have been concluded, the agreement will be signed, and we will announce once all those processes have been followed. But all the officials between the two departments, including the Department of Home Affairs, have agreed in terms of the text and all that of these agreements, which represent progress, because it's a process that started by my predecessor, Minister Pando, and which we are building from, and we are committed to continue with that process that was started in 2022. Negotiations have gone through, and in this period we believe that it's now ripe for the conclusion. And once that process is concluded, then we will announce, it will be signed. And it's the same with the request that he has made for reciprocity. It will also have to undergo that process of negotiations, of processing it, and then we will announce. But this one, the only difference is that this one is ripe. That process has been concluded. The other one, we will start the process. Thank you, Crispy.
Thank you, Ministers. I don't know if there are any other outstanding questions that the Minister will still want to respond to. I think also SABC and Business Day's question was not responded to. But
which one is not responded?
Business Day and SABC, but let's invite...
Which about which one?
Reports about the troops, Ukrainian troops in the Middle East.
Yes, but that's where the Minister of Ukraine will respond. Yes.
The Business Day one is which one?
I'll whisper it to you just now. Over to you, Minister.
Yes, so I will try to answer all the questions which were addressed to me. So first of all, Ukraine does not interfere in other countries' affairs. This is with regard of your question, with regard of possible troops, Ukrainian troops. So accusations against Ukraine are groundless. We issued several statements on that matter, and we have our own war. We have our own war, and we don't plan to import it or to expand it. We want to put an end to Russian aggression. That's it. That's it. So, but we are also concerned with the illegal and criminal activities of Russian Wagner mercenaries in Sahel. They are not bringing security to the region. They export instability. They export instability, and they are here, and they are in these regions which you mentioned and countries, and they only bring death, destruction, and chaos. So we share South Africa's concern with the terrible humanitarian crisis in Sudan. Sudan's stability is crucial for the region, as well as stability in African Horn. We need to see inclusive dialogue to resolve the conflict. And in April, we delivered a cargo of humanitarian aid to Sudan. Approximately 15,000 tons of wheat flour. Even while facing a total war in our own country, we find always way to help those in need. And also I got the question with regard of our NATO aspiration. Yes, I could confirm you that Ukraine strategic goal to become a member of transatlantic family. This choice and these aspirations are fixed in our constitution. So our strategic goal to become a member of NATO, and 90% of our people in Ukraine now support this strategic choice, more than 90%. And also more than 90% of our people support our choice to become the member of the European Union. That's really important. And by the way, more than 70% of our people do not want any negotiations with Russians, just for you to understand. You also asked me about US support. President Zelensky had very productive visit recently to Washington and New York. He conducted constructive meetings with both candidates. So here I would like to emphasize that we do really have strong bipartisan support, really strong bipartisan support, both from Republicans and Democrats. We have strong support of US American people, and we are thankful for this support, strong assistance to our people, to our army in the most hardest time. And after all these meetings, after this productive visit of our delegation led by our president, we are confident in a further support of our ally of the, United States.
Yeah, thank you. I think that question of Tando related to us not signing the last declaration, whether we will still not sign or if those conditions are not met. Obviously, it's difficult to know because, as you are aware, before a text is signed, there is an exchange of documents, there is negotiations on the various topics and sentences on the text. It will depend on the outcomes of those negotiations and discussions, but we will always stand firm on the positions that are in line with the policies of the South African government, our constitution, and our foreign policy. That's what informs our negotiations, and that is what will inform our participation in the process. If we end up not signing, it will be on the basis that is not in line with that. But if in the negotiations, the product does respond to our reservations, it responds to the inputs, it is aligned to what we believe should be included, and we will then participate and sign, just like we did to raise the issue of the participation of Russia to find a solution. We will continue because we see that process in that context. In any international platforms, the texts are negotiated, so it will depend on the product that will end up being concluded by the parties in the platform. That will inform whether we will sign or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. That concludes our press conference.
Councillor Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, I must invite you for lunch. You must not say there's no food in South Africa.
I will not refuse.